Hello and welcome to Allianz Leagues Reloaded here on Air Sport and Facebook Live. A slightly later time tonight because of the Champions League coverage. But we have a great show in store with plenty of GAA Chan analysis over the next hour.
Yes, and in a few minutes, Senan and I will be joined by our Air Sport analyst Aaron Kernan and former Galway footballer Michael Meehan. But to be honest, we thought we couldn't let Kenny and Shay sneak out of the studio before testing their GAA knowledge. So, no, I'm only joking.
No pressure,
you can just see
pressure.
The panic in the face. Going, what?
Yeah.
Nobody told us
I didn't sign up for this. Never read the small print.
I know, exactly. So you're in the seats now. It's live TV. Too late.
Very slick, I must say, as well. As there. This is what the soccer coverage is all about.
It's been a long time.
Up until now, maybe.
Long time since I felt this underdressed. But anyway, Shay, Donegal Person of the Year 2017.
Very much, thank you.
Yeah, I heard that.
Was that no need to get up. No need to get up. Me? What are you on about?
Well, what I was going to say is, like, do you have much time now to be following Donegal GAA?
Yeah, I mean, I love following Donegal, you know, all through my career, even looking back when I was in England, of course, and even now, obviously, Declan Bonner being the new manager, it's a new era, of course, and, you know, he's got a experienced group, but a lot of young players coming into the team now. He was obviously the 21s manager, and he knows a lot of young players. And
you just Google that information for half an hour before we went on air.
I can't even give a serious answer with this character next to me.
He's just reading off a cue card there. It's just behind centre.
I think Donegal, they've lost 3 in a row, but I think they're a team. You know, long term, are going to be a strong team.
Now, Shay, I have to say to Kenny, I haven't good word that you've claimed to be a prolific Gaelic footballer around these very offices.
Not prolific, not a prolific, talented Gaelic footballer, I might add.
Hold on, I've Collie Moy here telling me to grill you. But hold on, in their defence, I might say 1989, Dublin Minor, first round now, Leinster quarter final, Kildare in Newbridge.
Oh, travesty.
Full forward line, very potent. Desi Farrell.
Yeah.
Kenny Cunningham.
The Holy Trinity.
Nice.
And Jim Gavin. The three together, and not only that, but you kicked 2 points in a very low-scoring match, yeah?
2 free kicks, close to goal.
You remember the goal?
So you were rubbing shoulders with the best all them years ago, yeah?
I didn't know it at the time. It's a sad state of affairs, though. I started off in the half-back line in school, in the centre of the pitch. Yeah, quite a prominent position, probably where one of your better players would have played. But by the time I togged out for the Dublin Miners a few years later, I was playing left corner forward. Yeah. So that'll tell you of me demise. And
speaking of your school stuff as well, you played with Vincent's in last day when you got to a Leinster senior under 18 final, managed by Mr. Horn, who's coming in as the president of the GAA in a few weeks.
I know, amazingly. He stole the thunder from Des Farrell and myself, yeah.
I don't know who I'm more impressed with, the fact that you have all this or the fact that you've done so much research and all this.
He's my club.
I know.
We could have played an hour in club final if you had
him around. About Dublin current team now instead of like reminiscing like 30 years ago.
What could have been Senan?
Maybe it's the coach.
I came to that fork in the road. I'm still not sure whether I made the right choice, to be honest.
Well, Shay, going back to talking about goalkeepers, in my days starting off, I suppose, as a Gaelic footballer, the keeper was the guy who went off and did his own bit in training, and then at the end he went and he tried to take his head off with a few shots, but it's evolved into the most important position on the Gaelic football pitch now in the modern game. Are you surprised at that? Are you happy with that?
Yeah, I think they've got an important role. I think, especially going back to Donegal with Jim McGuinness, he was very important with that. God rest his soul, Pat Shovin, the goalkeeping coach who died last year. They had a big thing of Papa cleaning out from the back, of course, and they're a huge part. You say we should go in the corner and do a bit of handling and stuff, but now a lot of the attacks start from the goalkeeper, which I feel is the most important position on the pitch.
Of course you do. No bias there.
Yeah, I'll have to agree with that there as well. Now, Kenny, you love the touchscreen, don't you?
Loves it.
Yeah, we know.
Loves it.
Well, you have no choice. Can you come here for a minute now? We just have a little look at this. We want to get you to analyse. So you've been all over this. Sorry, you can go on this side here because we want you to analyse. Now, standing there Rex there as well. So if we can just get something up here. When you talk about what you love doing is giving us little plays. Laid on in the Donegal match, Donegal Dublin. Okay, so we're going to look at some sort of a play. No, you come over this side and we'll play this. This the game to weekend, and I'll play and see how we get on.
Is this the game Donegal were totally outclassed? Yeah.
Okay, so this is laid on the game.
Right.
Okay. So Dublin are seeing out the match. Go. Tell me all about it. Here's your icons. What's going to happen next?
What's going to happen? You want me to anticipate?
I want you to analyse it. Can Donegal break down Dublin? They're looking for the winning score here.
Yeah, potential. I see a lot of space. This lad in possession of the ball, maybe to travel 15, 20 yards. But I'd expect by the time he gets to the line, he's going to come with the physical contact.
What about the Donegal shape? Yeah.
The Donegal shape was sporadic. No organisation.
So I got
They've got about 8 Marcello. They got about 8 Marcellos on the pitch there, by the looks of it, all doing their own thing.
So if we play it, what's going to happen next year, I reckon?
I'm guessing he's going to take on the score surely from there. He's got to back himself.
Okay, so you were always going on about defensive formations. Would you be happy with that, Dublin? Yeah.
That's an interesting one. If this person here, in particular, his position, you have to explain this to me more to him.
Well spotted, Kenny. You're on the ball, yeah?
Yeah, whether he can get out quicker and maybe engage that man, I'm not too sure. He's too far away from him to affect that. So for me, almost...
will you stop, Kenny? You know that. You're looking for a job on a Saturday night with us. That's all it is.
I don't know. This is just an opinion.
Yeah, all right, yeah. OK, so we got that block in. And Dublin end up with the ball, yeah. Anna, look, what we do, we'll give him a job on a Saturday night. Have to say,
I'm very impressed, to be honest. Put you back in your box.
Winning that game on a Saturday, what was it?
Just by a couple of points. Just by a couple of points, Kenny.
Very
well done, Kenny. Very well done under the pressure.
No problem.
Good stuff. Well, our GA pundits better watch out with you guys hot in their heels anyway. Right, job done. So for all of you now at home, it's your turn, because we want you to get involved with tonight's show and send in some questions for the lads. So comment on Facebook under the live link, or you can tweet us at AirSport. Use the hashtag Allianz Leagues Reloaded. We're putting your questions to Aaron and Michael in part 3, so get them in.
Yeah, thanks for joining us, lads. Right, in case you missed Saturday's game from Croker, here's a recap of what happened when Dublin met Donegal. Dublin are playing the game at an intensity that I don't think any other team can match at the moment, and what they're doing is they're eking out wins in the last 10.
I think Donegal, if they can get a couple of points going in the league, build on that Donegal could be a team that will surprise people this year.
It has been extremely difficult to get team news this evening. Declan Bonner and Jim Gavin obviously taking this very, very seriously. Dublin, Billy Joe, the overwhelming favourites to win, and I think you feel it's going to pan out that way as well.
Yeah, I think so. They're very strong.
There's real danger here, and smacked up and over the bar by Colm Basquel.
Some fast of our play. I think our shooting has been very good the last 2 games.
Quick hands by Dublin. They give it to Kieran Kilkenny, and he makes no mistake. Donegal need this, and McClune galloping up from the defence hammers it over the bar. Donegal to make any meaningful headway. Ryan McHugh rolls out of the challenge by McCauley. Backs himself to shoot from distance. Normally so accurate off the outside of the right boot, and he is again here. McBrearty clips it across in front of Brennan. Slips the man, he's in! Oh, cracks off the post. It would have been a fantastic goal, and Brennan knows it.
We need to see a reaction here at half-time. What will they bring in the second half? And it'll be interesting to see what they bring.
Brian Fenton sets Dublin on the front foot. This would be some start. Well, Fenton is playing the game at an entirely different level these last few weeks. This is Paddy McBrearty trying to make an angle for that left boot. Likes the look of it, turns away. That's superb from Paddy McBrearty. Well, make no mistake, this Donegal comeback now is well up and running, and they're getting closer and closer as Dublin get a little sloppy. Here's Patrick McBrearty. He'll know he needs to make this count. McBrearty in full flight, flashes it up and over the bar. Well, Paddy McBrearty has decided to turn on the style in this second half, and that's another glorious score, and Donegal are back to within 1 again. Here's Fenton, lovely sidestep to Basquel, another dummy, and Colm Basquel takes his point. There were a couple of occasions in this second half when they were pegged back to a single point and they kicked on again, and Dublin now are signing off in style.
20 points in total, 18 from play, I think, in total. So, again, for this time of the season, the work we're doing on the training field is certainly paying off.
When we start the minute second half, we decided, we've got to give it a go, and in fairness to the lads, to a man, they really pushed on the second half, and, they're disappointed in there that we didn't get something out of the game.
Now with us for the rest of the evening are Aaron and Michael. Great to have you with us, lads. Kenny and Shay have set the standards high, so I hope you're ready.
No pressure.
I know, exactly. Michael, I'll come to you first. Look, a lot of people are talking about Dublin and, I suppose they're rolling on. But for me, Donegal really impressed. And I suppose the Donegal supporters leaving would have been very happy with Donegal's overall performance. There are a lot of positives to take from the game.
Yeah, I think so. They ran them really close, their second half performance especially. And they probably, when they're sitting down maybe last night after training and analysing their own performances, they wouldn't have been at all happy with what they could produce in the first half. Just their balls weren't sticking inside. The passes were astray. I know conditions were tricky, but overall, I think there's been a big change with the new manager and a change in the style of play as well, and that's evident in what they've been trying to do this year. And I think it'll be touched on later by the lads that they're just going with a new approach, and I think it'll suit them when they get a few more players back. Michael Murphy, is only going to add to them, and I think he's going to even bring more out of Paddy McBrearty, who's already flying it this year. So there's a lot of optimism there.
Yeah, and I suppose if you look at it, like they've got 343 now from 3 games, which is very high scoring, especially in comparison to the last number of years. They're really playing now with this attacking football, which we haven't seen from them in a good few seasons.
Yeah, to be fair, and their manager kind of stated at the outset that this is the way he wanted to go, and they just have the bodies higher up the pitch. They're looking to move the ball through the pitch that bit quicker, and it's paying off for them to a certain extent. They went very, very close against Kerry was a 1-point loss. Galway was a 1-point loss as well. So I suppose in one way, I don't think they're going to be put off too much by the fact that they have 0 points on the board. I'm sure they want to stay in Division 1, but if they can just pick up a couple of points now and make it a dogfight, which I think it will be at the bottom, and once they bed in their new style of play for the championship, and they'll be happy with their league.
Oh, I love that. The mention of a dogfight, and I'm going to bring Aaron Kernan up to the screen. Now, Michael, you talked about the style change, Aaron, and if we can sort of illustrate that and we go to the touchscreen, there's one thing I suppose that struck me against Donegal, and what we're going to look at is Donegal in 2016. It's the last footage we have of them playing in Croke Park in terms of our open screens to illustrate what was going on. We think that, or certainly in 2016, it was about denying space. That's the way Donegal actually operated. So they win possession back here. If we can just let this clip play on. And there's a couple of things about it. It's slow, lateral sort of hand passing from Donegal. Again, as I mentioned, in 2016. But the key player for me in all of this, and again, we're going to look at a contrast with the new manager, Declan Bonner. The key player is this lad inside, okay? So that's Paddy McBrearty, who's been marked there on his own. There is space in front of him, obviously. Okay, so in terms of, that's the space he wants to work with. Okay, but he's been marked. There's a sweeper in front of him. There's a double sweeper in front of him. If we watch and just see how slow, and let the clip play on, and if you can actually track Paddy McBrearty, he'll actually end up out beyond the 45. Slow, lateral, no head-up football, not even looking for that option inside. And I think when we look at that 2016 model, they weren't scoring an awful lot. They were getting results maybe in Ulster, and you could suggest playing against a style that was like for like. But I mean, it's played into Dublin's hands, because Dublin track runners, they get sweepers back, they occupy space, and they hit you on the counter attack. And there's no head up football. We can see where Paddy McBrearty ends up. Right, he's out beyond the 45 and is being marked there by a Dublin player. Now, if we can let this play away, Dublin eventually turn the ball over. Contrast of what we saw on Saturday night, which is the 2018 model under Declan Bonner. Much more offensive, much more attack minded. This is Leo Clune. Okay, the ball inside. If we just go back a bit there. Look how direct they are. Okay, so the first pass inside, okay, is very direct. Stephen McBrearty here. It's all going to be head-up football. Now, Ireland, they're playing with 2 men inside rather than Paddy McBrearty on his own. When we work the ball to Orla McNeilish, when we see the body language of Orla McNeilish here, if you look at his body language, his head is up, he's looked inside, he's copped that there's gunners inside. Nice little dummy solo, or dummy hop, and there's that killer pass inside. Now, that wasn't happening in 2016, as we know. Ball inside. Now, we have a 2-man full forward line. So Jamie Brennan here can use Paddy McBrearty as a decoy runner, and what he does is he nullifies the sweeper, who's Johnny Cooper. And all of a sudden, when the game plays on, it'll end up in Orla McNeilish's hands again. And McNeilish, the playmaker, nearly like a centre half or a centre midfielder or a quarterback. Again, he's looking up. What a pass here. Spots McBrearty in over the top. And it's all very attack-minded. It's offensive. It's aggressive with the ball. It's aggressive running off the ball. It's a goal chance, Aaron. It doesn't work out. It'll end up back in Ryan McHugh's hands. So we are seeing a bit of a change, and they're getting scores. And it's one thing that stuck out for me.
Like we noticed, Johnny Cooper there initially, he got dragged across to Jamie Brennan. That's what left the space for the long ball inside to Paddy McBrearty. Again, we'll see something similar here. If you keep an eye on Michael Murphy, he makes the break across. And Michael Murphy is going to draw attention of 2 people no matter what is happening. That leaves Paddy McBrearty on a one-on-one situation. He just comes on the loop on the outside. 2 men get sucked to Michael Murphy and he scores a point. Terrific point. But he did that 3 or 4 times towards the end of the game, and this is against the best team in the country. This is another one which illustrates it. A long ball up the field, but we have men running onto it now. There's 3 Donegal forwards up the field. If Mark McHugh was being ruthless, he could have worked the goal. He could play it inside, and then you have another runner coming off where we see this traditional Donegal Pam in goal. It could have been worked in that situation, but the whole thing for me is they have more people up front, so they can play a running game, or they can now go direct. And who do you man-mark? Do you man-mark Pat McBrearty? Do you man-mark Michael Murphy? To have the physicality, but they also have the pace to come along with it.
Yeah, when you were seeing the clips, it's head-up football, so they're kicking the ball inside, and now that gives them an option, obviously, of playing Michael Murphy inside as well. So they're a multi-dimensional offensive team, and that's where they want to get to, I suppose. Anna, you want to have a look at some
Yeah,
more?
we do have to say that you love that touchscreen. I was going to say, Aaron, come back down here if you want, because
leave him on his own.
He seems to be happy enough up there. I suppose, look, we've already talked about Paddy McBrearty, and Michael, I suppose a lot of people are saying that he's probably arguably the most impressive player so far this season, even though it's early days yet. He scored 26 points so far of Donegal's total. That's like about 60%. He's causing problems for Dublin and every team he plays with. What's impressed you most about him?
Yeah, I think first thing is he's had to maybe take on a bit more of the free-taking duties when Michael Murphy's on the sideline, and he's scored maybe, I think, of the 26, maybe well over half them are from frees, so and long-range ones like he did on Sunday. But it's just, he's a nightmare to mark. He's got a low centre of gravity, he's really, really strong, and he's very, very mobile. And Donegal have a great way of using him. He's the classic score you see Paddy doing, I think he did one in the background there, is just coming on the loop, timing that run, and his execution is top class.
He's not unlike yourself.
I was going to say, from one left corner forward to another, what is it though that you'd be obviously looking at things that other people mightn't? What quirks would he have?
Well, I think it's just his timing and positioning. Obviously, as an inside forward, you want to win the ball early and in space and go at your man straight away. And at times, it didn't really happen for him against Dublin. They were trying to get direct ball into himself and Brennan, who stayed inside. But the ball wasn't good in the first half. Then in the second half, what did he do? He knew he had to change his game. So he starts drifting out, more operating on the 45. And he just found himself in pockets of space, and he was taking hand passes off fellas as opposed to kick passes. And his tight control of the ball, he was able to get in and out between the players and get his shots away. And he's really on form. His shooting is really good, so he's going to shoot all day.
There might be a suggestion of an over-reliance on him, but his ball-winning skills and his leadership qualities was coming to the forward, and the other players would feed around it. When we move on to the Dublin, obviously we look at the Dublin side of things as well. There's a lot of talk about the rookies who've come into the panel. Obviously Colin Pascal, Brian Howard have done very, very well. But the one guy that stood out for me as a top performance Saturday night was Niall Scully, who operated in the half-forward line. And he's a guy that sort of maybe slipped in under the radar a little bit in terms of these games here, but just a real quality footballer. Got an awful lot of game time, obviously, with Jim Gavin's team, and came on in the All-Ireland final, and his confidence is actually using now. And we're just looking at some of the clips. Has he shone for you guys? Have you noticed?
No, he definitely has. To me, he was sort of relatively unknown, started last year, but he nailed down his place. Now, I know he lost it towards the end of last year, but he looks like a fella now who feels, I am fully established and I'm part of this here. He has the possibility of the likes of Paul Flynn, Jim Conley breathing down his neck, but that doesn't seem to be weighing on him whatsoever. Covers the ground effortlessly, right or left foot. And I suppose the one thing that stands out for me as a half forward in modern day football is he's scoring. He's willing to work, he'll get back, he'll do everything he's going to be asked of. But there's an end product to him. 4 points in the first half. When's the last time you could tell me a half forward, a wing half forward, scored 4 points in play in one half of football?
I don't know. I never did it in my career.
I'm glad you said it. I didn't have to.
I was just building up to it.
Oh yeah, I knocked that out. Yeah.
But you can see him. He's back in his own half-back lane, so he's just kicked 4 points in play in the first half. But he's not standing up thinking, I just want to worry about getting scores the second half. He's willing to get back and do the hard work and get the ball back up the other end of the field again. So for me, that's brilliant. It's what Jim Gavin wants, in that it's creating headaches for him once his experienced men do come back.
And just with that, he's only 22 or 3. His decision making looks top class. Now, fair enough, it's league that we're kind of focusing on tonight, and the intensity isn't there. But his decision making the last night was spectacular, and there's a couple of clips in open play, and he's not on the ball, but he's looking over his shoulder.
He's looking for work.
He's just figuring out, okay, in 5 seconds time, where's the ball going to be? Where do I need to be? And he was a joy to watch on Saturday night. And I'd say he's heading up the ladder for Jim in terms of one of the key guys for this year coming ahead.
It's game management from him, that he's obviously really taken on board what he has seen in his time in the squad. He hasn't just gone in there to make up numbers to be part of the Dublin panel. He's gone in, he's looked at what Conley's been doing, Flynn's been doing, Kilkenny's been doing.
He's learning from the best.
But he's saying, I still want to take your place. And that's great. That's what every manager wants.
Well, of course, it's not just about Dublin and Donegal. Galway have a lot to be smiling about. 3 wins from 3. Like, if you look at Galway's team this year, say, even compared to last season, like, is there any differences in their style of play or anything that you're seeing emerging now?
Not hugely. Like, Galway and been involved back in last year for the year. You know, obviously, there was always a core emphasis on defensive setup and structure and getting bodies back. And looking to the most recent game that will be in people's minds was against Mayo, and you know they defended quite well and quite deep and in numbers. Maybe the one change that they've brought to it is that the transfer from defence into attack is just done at a greater pace. And I suppose that's down to some of the personnel that are there. Shane Walsh, Eamon Brannigan, Damien Comer himself, you know, can get through that middle third of pace. They've added in Peter Cook as well into the middle of the field at the minute. So they're probably, they've really gone at it. I'm sure they've trained hard all winter and they've wanted to hit the ground running, and they have. So they've that little bit more work done than other teams around them as well, maybe. But you know, they've coped really, really well. They'll be delighted with where they are at.
Set the tone, really,
yeah,
like against
absolutely.
Mayo,
yeah, and I suppose they're probably not shooting the lights out, Michael, you could say, but they're getting results, they're scoring goals, they're finishing very, very strongly as well. And they never look rattled, I don't think, at any stage over the weekend. And for me, the guy that's setting the tone is Damien Comer. I think he's reveling this role as being the captaincy as well. And he's just a guy that's taking it. Now, I still don't think they're kicking the ball in enough to him, because he is a big target man. He's going around looking for work. But look, the quality of his scores, his goal scoring, his finishing. Michael, you played beside him. You know how good this guy is.
He's having a great season, and I think definitely he's taken the captaincy, and it's really bringing him on. And I suppose comparing directly to last year, he had 2 or 3 niggly injuries that kind of took him out of some of the league and then early parts of the championship. So he never got a run through last year, and that kind of held him back. And I think this year he's had a good campaign. With the Inuit Galway, he's actually in a Sigerson final as of tonight. They had a win earlier on this evening, and he's got serious strength and power. Like, he's an animal of a man, but he also has pace and agility. And if he can keep that balance and just not over rely on the strength and the power, because sometimes he can get predictable. And he seems to have the right balance there. The 2 points that we saw, he's taking his man on, he's twisting and turning them, kicking in space. And then later in the clips, he was charging at lads and drawing the fouls, and it's a great combination.
And like Aaron, I suppose you mentioned work rate and the importance of Niall Scully, but again, one thing that struck me when he went toe to toe with Aidan O'Shea, like, he never stepped back off him. Like, it was like there was real intent there, that he was setting the tone for all the other lads. What was it about it that impressed you?
No, I think if we go back to it, he seems to be wanting to not be a captain by words. He wants to do it by actions, and I think that's what the best captains all do. I think he's taken on the leadership. He looks like an even leaner beast than what he was last year, if there's such a thing. I do think that they're not using him as much as what they can, but it's only the start of the year. I think as the season goes on, it'll get better. But another aspect, if we're talking about them breaking a pace, I would say Shane Walsh and how well he played in the international series last year, I think that will take his confidence on to another, and the self-belief within him, like he was outstanding against Aussies. They couldn't believe the pace and the power and the skill level of him. Do you know, so you put them 2 focal men, they're going to be hard to handle come summertime.
Oh, well, definitely. Well, that's it for part 1. After the break, we'll be chatting in studio about game time and who should be used and when. Join us after.
Forward, Brogan, Allen, Brian Cullen, Sherlock.
Welcome back to part 2. Now, something we wanted to chat about this week was game time and managing game time. And I suppose to tee it up and use Dublin as a reference there. Dublin are 6 from 6 at the moment, and there is a need, I suppose, to keep players happy within a panel and within a team. And for me, the one guy that sticks out was obviously Stephen Cluxton there. To use him as an example, he's played the 3 matches now. Is it a case where Jim can step away and say, look, we let Evan Comfort in, who's the sub-keeper, give him game time. If Stephen gets injured come championship, you'll need someone to step in who can cope with the Cauldron at Croke Park. We know he's the fulcrum, but managing games, and players are selfish. Anna, you were everybody around the tables was selfish, and you want to play all the time. So managing that game time is a difficult one.
It certainly is. It is the one position, you're right, because when you think of all the interchange and the different lads have won All Irelands in different positions for Dublin in the last few years, and Stephen's the one constant. Now he's up here, isn't he? But you would wonder has it crossed their mind that just if something happened, God forbid, picks up a serious injury in training, which we know the Dubs know can happen, unfortunately, this week for their star players, where do you go? Because his kickouts this year are even going to another level. Just watching the earlier runs of the league, and he's just treading them along the ground. He's putting them into pockets of space, and he has that confidence to take it on. And is it Evan Comerford? It's going to be a big ask for him if and when he gets called.
Yeah.
If nothing else, the pressure that's going to be on Evan Comerford, because if, say, God forbid, something did happen, it's going to be just thrown upon him. He's doing very well at club level, and obviously county under 21 level. National League's a step up, and then obviously going to Championship football, we're talking about a different level altogether. So it is maybe potentially something that we could see over the next few rounds of the league.
But then would you be wondering, because Andy Moran spoke about it last year, that he felt he developed his form in the league, and every single time he played and he got better, that was probably what helped him be the footballer of the year. So like for yourselves, I know for me, I never wanted to see myself at bench. Like I want to play every game because I want to learn.
It's surely a challenge for all management team just to get it right. You want to create that team, the backbone of your team, thinking of May, June and July, but you have to trial and error a little bit to build a squad, to make sure that you're not going to throw some lad into a championship match and you're not sure if he's going to be up for it or not. So it's Michael, a real difficulty.
If we can bring it to a new level altogether, we've all sat on the bench, and the guy that's playing in your position during the league, all of a sudden he's having a good position, and we're all selfish. We want that position back, and I'm sure you've been there in a situation where you're saying, look, I don't like the look of this.
And that's what it is. You see it across the board. If you're sitting, say if I was playing in the club campaign, you would have missed, say, the All-Ireland semi-final and an All-Ireland final because they'd be on February, March. Like, I'd be sitting looking at Armagh going all the time, geez, after moving Andy Mallon out the half-back, he's going well there. And you are thinking it, and all the time it's going through your head. And everybody is like that. You're always... The one thing you'll do is you look after your own corner first. And as much as everyone talks about the team and team first, the team's great once you're on it.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
But I have to say, and that's one of the things that I would admire particularly about the top teams in Mayo and, say, Dublin, Kerry, is how well they're keeping their panels together. You see very little, and it's easy to say, sure, if you're winning stuff or you're going to compete, people will stay. But you say everyone's selfish and everyone has their own sort of ego that they want game time, but those management teams, it's a tough ask to keep everyone happy, but they're doing it.
It's as much your standing within, and your strength of character and mind. Like, teams can take a lot of stick for trialing lads in February and March and April and not get results. But if they're playing the long game, and if they're confident enough to do that and take the bit of local backlash in papers for maybe not winning games that you should win, it's a balancing act. Like, you need a strong group of players and management to kind of ride that out and carry it through and pull it off in the summer. Whereas there's been teams and counties and clubs who've come unstuck for trying lads out, and then all of a sudden they've no form coming in the championship and they don't know where they are.
See, this is exactly because young budding players that might be on form, that don't have any inhibitions, they need to get that experience. I mean, even look at Anthony Nash now, he was able to start that game. Patrick Collins came in and did really well as a goalkeeper, but had that situation ever arose that Nash couldn't play, would we have seen what Collins could do? So I think, it's trying to get their foot in the door to show management that they're capable, because otherwise, they're just being left there until the more, I suppose, older and experienced players are injured.
Particularly whenever you're younger, that is right. Like, I just felt like there wasn't really any responsibility in me. Like, so if I made a mistake, it didn't really bother me. Like, see now, like, you'd be thinking about the mistake before the mistake's made. Because
looking over your shoulder, somebody's warming up.
And that shouldn't be the case because you're older and you have the bit of experience. But I think you know what can happen if it goes wrong, and you take the bit of responsibility on. But that's the brilliance of youth, and it's that's what I really enjoy about this part of the National League, is seeing like who's breaking through from what county and what division, and just seeing young fellas just go out and just having an absolute cut of it to try and, I wouldn't say go off on their own, but just having the confidence or the self-belief to take on with a situation, to maybe take a man on and get a score.
It's usual exuberance, isn't it?
Classic example there, the goal Galway scored against Mayo. Barbecue, great finish. But turned, bet his man, took one play and took it from on the 13 or even outside, and he had two lads inside, but talking, I probably would have popped it inside and made sure it was worked through and guaranteed goal, but he just says, to hell with that.
Look at Conor Callan last year when he got his chances, he took them, and now that's where he is. I think any manager looking at home is like, they're probably more confused now than when they started, isn't it? Just, what are you telling me? But I think if you kept everything on the table and the management were able to tell the players, well, this is why I'm doing this, or this is why I'm starting you or not starting you, then it probably does, like you say, Aaron.
That's man management. Man management. And you know, I think with the top managers now and the younger players coming in, there's definite instructions. You know what you have to do. Yeah. But the hard thing is you can't take away what's got players onto the level.
The freedom of expression.
The individuality within a collective sort of framework, it still has to work, I think. And Michael, I know you wouldn't have passed that ball when you came onto the Galway team.
Tunnel vision.
Yeah, when you get older, it's like you buy into it and you realise you have to.
I was listening to a good interview with Turlough O'Brien's on it. It was one of the podcasts during the week, and that's what he was saying, that even for themselves, what they've tried to do is just give players clarity in their roles, that this is our game plan, this is our role for this particular position, and players love that they just, you have an idea of what's expected of you, but there's bits of brilliance that get you on a county panel whenever you're a club player, and we're not looking to take that out of people at all, but you do need to fit into a game plan, and you just can't go off on solo runs and doing your own thing. You fit into a game plan, but if something comes up or an opportunity comes, stick it in the back of the net. Do you know, or don't be afraid to have a shot. Don't pass it off to an older player whenever you can do the same job as him. Like, that's what got you seen to make a county panel. So trust yourself, really.
I love that line, and I don't think there's enough of that, Aaron. You sometimes see that.
I think that's what happens with tactics, isn't it? Sometimes that they can actually, that you can nearly be, you can keep players down, and that freedom of expression, that those moments of brilliance are obviously why people watch the GA so much as well. But management now will probably kill me for saying that, because they're like, no, we don't want that.
What about injuries now? I've seen players getting injured, and sometimes you're rubbing your hands, saying that's another one gone.
Now, he said that now for the record.
You're talking to the right man.
It's not like Simon Brannigan saw Michael Meehan coming back last year saying, oh, your position's gone.
No, his position was safe enough.
When one door closes, it does open for someone else, and that's just the nature of the beast. Everyone wants to get into that first 15.
I think that's something that we've actually progressed better at within the GAA, is dealing with situations like that there, that we got used to, right, that man is gone, we can't really dwell on it, like, because, and even if it is a main man, like as cruel it is maybe on Bernard Brogan, it is an opportunity for somebody else, where in years gone by, probably just as a country, we were like
panic,
mourned over.
Exactly. And now it's another opportunity for another man to come in and take his place. You know, people go travelling now, people take a bit of time off, people get injured. There's anything that can come up now, but for every position that becomes vacant, it's an opportunity for somebody else.
Well, guys, thanks very much for those great insights. Managers at home now are going to be scratching their head.
Tearing up the script.
I know. Remember, we want you to get in touch, and we're going to be putting your questions to Michael and Aaron in the next part. So comment on the Facebook live stream or get us on Twitter at @AirSport, #Allianz Leagues Reloaded. We'll be back to you shortly.
The experience last year, Aaron, that experience is going to stand to getting the Crow Park and getting results.
And I think what will stand them even more is the defeats and the Sligo game, the Tipperary game. Like, as cruel as it is, I think that's where you learn more about yourself and how to react in a certain situation. So
don't we know that all too well? Definitely.
We certainly know it.
Kieran, as well as a manager, would buy into that in a big way too, I'd imagine. And he'd be really driving that.
Hopefully. I would be very hopeful that we can build on what happened last year.
Okay.
And now, Michael, your turn to pick your question.
I suppose we'll, if I follow Aaron's lead, I'll go to Owen there and ask him, have a look at the Galway peaking.
Right.
We'll keep it very local.
Does Michael think that Galway may be peaking too early, or are they showing signs of things to come in the 2018 championship?
It's a fair question, I think, and you can look back at similarities with maybe Roscommon a couple of years ago. The promotion to Division 1 after a few years out of there, and they went guns blazing. I think got to a league semi-final, and the season kind of tailed off from there. Will the same thing happen in Galway? I don't know. Is it that they're peaking too early? I don't think so. I'd like to think that at this stage now they're practically safe in the league, and they can look to maybe develop a few lads, try a few things, and just work a little bit more on what they're trying to do. Obviously, they have a new man in, Paddy Talley, is part of the coaching team now, and Aaron, you'd be familiar with him. So they're getting used to his input into things. I suppose that the big thing as a Galway supporter, you want to see this league performance and pushed into championship and into the months of July and August, not June and July. And I'd hope that that's there. I think there's a good group of lads there. They're keen. Last year, albeit there was a couple of poor performances on big days, but that said, I think there was progress made.
Like you're talking about. We're talking about how positive we are about Donegal. Do you know, they haven't won any game so far. Yeah. Galway have won 3 and then we're saying, are they picking too soon? Like, I would agree. I think they're up in the Division 1. They didn't want to go straight back down again, so they needed to be in good shape. They're playing well. I definitely think they can play better. I think they can get more out of their forward line. Their problem here is who to have the first round of the championship.
But it's at the right time, isn't it?
Well, it is.
9-10 weeks away.
But say they don't have their best performance, they then go into the first round of qualifiers to get to the Super 8s. There's going to be enough. It's going to be long.
But this is the prep, Aaron. This is the prep. The points on board, confidence, a solid defensive system. They're scoring up front. They're getting goals. They're not conceding goals.
I don't think that first game isn't the be-all or end-all anymore for Galway.
All I'm saying is after last weekend, we get the Armagh fixtures. I think we have a league game that weekend. I'd love to be moved from the Sunday to a Saturday, and I think we'll all go to Castlebar.
Well, clear we can talk about this all evening today. Okay, thanks, guys. After the break, Owen Kelly will be on the phone to preview the weekend's hurling action, and we'll hear from Limerick's Aaron Kernan.
Munster, Leinster, Kilkenny, Shefflin, Cody, Tommy Welch. What? I can stop these. What? 10 seconds. Is that all right? What?
That is the best reaction. That's the best reaction.
Go on, the Cork people.
Cork boss John Moyler there with the Who Am I Challenge. Now, this Saturday night on Air Sport, there are 2 games from the Allianz Hurling League. Tip face Wexford in 1A, while in 1B, Limerick face Dublin at the Gaelic Grounds. Here's Limerick's Aaron Kernan.
Well, Aaron, 2 from 2. Perfect start to Division 1B for Limerick. You must be delighted with that.
Yeah, things are going well now. The mood in the camp is good, so 2 matches we played now. After we had a good old test against them in Laois. We did what we had to do. We got over the 2 of them, so looking forward to Dublin now, and Saturday will be a bigger test again.
Do you enjoy that added pressure of the free take? You're used with playing at underage levels and with the club and stuff like that, but to bring that onto a senior hurling panel?
I don't know really, though. I enjoy it. It's just the thing that I've been doing all my life, so, well, I've been taking it for all the teams I've played with all my life, so I'm kind of used to it, that kind of, it's not that I probably don't enjoy it now, to be honest. So if you're missing 1 or 2, you're there, you're getting nervous and you're getting scared, but I know, I'm kind of used to it now, so it's alright.
You made your league debut for the Limerick Senior Hurlers this year. You've been a star in the under-21 panels, Fitzgibbon. Is there much of a step up now playing senior inter-county hurling?
I'd say the one thing that is different now is the physicality. Geez, you'll be getting blown around the place there in some matches, and no free or nothing, you're expected to get up and go again straight away. So I suppose that's the one thing now you have to cope with, but it's kind of won't be long getting used to that either.
Would you like a bit more protection off referees?
In the full forward line, yeah, the old cornerbacks and full back get away with a lot, and they're always complaining then if they give away a free, but geez, we'd be getting pulled and dragged, and if we don't get the ball, then it looks like it's our fault. But I know it's all at the end of the day. You get a bit of laugh after that at the end of the match.
Do you feel this panel that you're on now has the right balance of youthful talent and that experience?
Well, I'd like to hope so. Anyway, there's I think there's a good few after 21s gone to the team this year even, and then there's the likes of Tom Condon, Paul Brown, Declan, they're probably the most childish on the team, but it's grand, they gel us all together and we get great crack, and then when we're enjoying it, it's way easier to play with them, so all we want to do is succeed, so that's why we're training so hard. There's 31 or 2 on the panel, and to be fair, everyone has got their chance, and the people that are playing at the moment are the people that took their chance, and it's better. You could be training there 4 or 5 nights a week, but you have to be playing matches so you're up to the speed, and I think it's better to have so many matches to improve yourself.
Well, I'm delighted to say we're now joined on the line by 6-time All-Star and Air Sport regular Owen Kelly. Owen, we missed, I suppose, not having the hurling last weekend. Do you think that's a bit of a momentum killer now for Wexford and Tipperary, both of them coming off great wins now going into this weekend?
Anna, how are you? No, I don't think so, Anna. Look, I'm sure they would have probably played in-house games, maybe played a practice game, you know, just to keep eyes on their toes and that. No, so I don't think it'll affect either team. You know, both teams they have momentum picked up from the early rounds of the league. Tip obviously got a win last night. Wexford have their 2 wins. They're moving very nicely. Even though Tip were defeated below Ennis, they were fighting to the death in that game. So, you know, I think Michael Ryan and Davy Fitz will be both very happy with the way both their teams are going. And look, Wexford are the story of the league so far. You know what I mean? And Michael Ryan mentioned it during the week. The Davy factor is real. It is. You know, they scored 241 in the last 2 outings, 2 victories, sitting top of Division 1A. So they're sitting pretty, and it's great for the Wexford supporters.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great point. It's going to be a cracking game. Now, if we look to the bottom of Division 1A, then we have Waterford and Kilkenny chasing their first points, and that puts a little bit of pressure on both teams now.
Yeah, it does. But the only thing this year's league, I think relegation and pressure is something that the managers, they've put that to one side before the league started. The way the new championship is structured, they have their eye on the championship. Now, it'll be interesting. Like, Waterford are going for their 3rd victory over Kilkenny in the league or championship. Now, it's a long time since that happened. They beat them in the league last year in Nolan Park by a point. Obviously beat them in the championship. So, you know, down in Walsh Park, it's very hard to get a victory there. So, but I think Brian Cody will love that challenge. He's trying to form a new team. New exciting players coming along. You hear Tommy talking about these guys. So he really tests them in the away games in Walsh Park to see what they're made of. So, you know, there's lovely rivalry there now between Kilkenny and Waterford. So you'll have a packed house down there, and that's going to be an intriguing game because whoever gets the 2 points there will feel definitely let the pressure off. Now, whoever loses, the pressure will definitely be on. But I think with Brian Cody's experience and Derek McGrath not looking at the league really from what we've seen so far. So, look, it's a great game, and whoever wins that, you know, they'll drive on, and whoever loses then will be staring the relegation in the face. But I don't think either manager will be worried too much about it.
Yeah, as a neutral, I'm definitely looking forward to that game. And I suppose if we look now at Division 1B, Limerick now and Dublin, you know, Offaly beat Dublin and then Limerick beat Offaly. And I suppose, really, what are your thoughts? How do you see that game going?
Yeah, look, it's at home. Limerick in the Gaelic ground Saturday night. Home advantage is an advantage in the league. You know, I mentioned Walsh Park there already, but for me, Dublin they're a work in progress. Now, I suppose the disappointing thing for Pat Gilroy is they've conceded 247 in the league so far. That's the highest conceded of any team in Division 1B. Now, he set up his stall, even when he became the Dublin football manager, not to concede. You know, and I think the first night out, he got a baptism of fire, conceded 225 against Offaly. So they were lucky to beat Antrim, a 76-minute point from Donald Burke, a free just to get him over the line. But their top players are coming back into the fray now. And you must remember, both teams, Limerick and Dublin, have to bring the Coola and the Napiershik boys back into the fray in a couple of weeks' time. But I think home advantage for Limerick should get them over the line in the Gaelic grounds on Saturday night.
Well, thanks very much, as usual, Owen. Great insight there. Thank you.
Talk to you, Anna. Bye-bye.
It's great to hear from him, isn't it?
He's great.
He's some cracking studio as well, isn't it, when he's live. Well, as you haven't got away with it, as you know, we've come to that part of the night where
we'll lower the light.
The Who Am I challenge. So when I say go, that means go. Yes or no answers. Go.
Ulster.
Yes.
Tyrone.
Yes.
Wow.
Defender.
Yes.
Gormley.
Ricey.
Oh my God!
That's a record, isn't it?
That is a record.
That is a record. Ricey McMenamin.
They had to have seen one of the sheets.
There we go.
Yeah. Do we leave these? Yeah, brilliant.
I'm very impressed with that. And you were afraid earlier on.
I said Conor Gormley. I thought it was...
Yeah.
Who did you say?
Well done. No,
he turned around and he said, if the two of us can't get in 30 seconds, he's like, we'll never
this
be allowed
is the part
to
of the show. You actually see the stress in guest faces there as well.
Fair play.
Let's go again.
Great thing. You asked the first 3 questions and you got in there with the sucker punch.
Well, I knew it wasn't going to be an Armagh player.
You never know.
Look.
Defender nailed it,
Great teamwork there, guys.
Good teamwork. Well done, fellas. Now, that's it for another episode of Allianz League Reloaded. It wasn't a bad way to spend Valentine's night, I suppose. Anna with myself and the two lads, and Kenny Cunningham and Shay Given as well, I'd say. But big thanks, obviously, to Michael and to
Aaron. It was great fun. And thank you, of course, as well at home for watching. So from Senan and myself, goodbye till next week.